So, if you ask just a random stranger on the street what a full-time painter makes in a year, what do you think they'd say?
Oh, I mean, they'd probably guess 0, right? They'd tell you some story about a guy living in a freezing apartment.
Yeah, exactly. Eating instant ramen, just hoping to be discovered before the rent is due.
And they would definitely tell you to go get a real job.
Right. But, like, the federal government's labor data tells a completely, radically different story. What if I told you the median income for a full-time artist in the U.S. is actually 15% higher than the average American worker?
I mean, it completely shatters the narrative, doesn't it?
It really does. And I want to talk directly to you, the listener, right now, because if you clicked on this deep dive, well, I have a pretty good idea of who you are.
Yeah, you're technically skilled. You've spent years, maybe even decades, honing your craft.
Exactly. You know how to stretch a canvas. You know how to pull a screen print. Your brushstrokes are confident. You have the talent.
But secretly, you're harboring this massive, crushing doubt, right? Like, can I actually make a real living doing this?
Which, is the most natural fear in the world. When you're standing at the edge of that leap, looking at a career in the arts, there is no corporate ladder to climb.
Right. There's no guidance counselor handing you a map with your 401k plan and a clear path to middle management.
You're basically building the ladder in midair. But today, we're going to prove to you that the ladder can absolutely be built.
And the materials are actually already right in front of you.
Yeah, we are looking at this brilliantly tactical 2026 Data Forward Field Manual. It's literally titled, "You Can Be a Full-Time Artist Even Without AI."
It's such a good source, and the core premise, the thing we are going to prove to you today, is that your talent question is already answered.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that's a vital starting line. If you're listening to this and you have that technical excellence, your problem is no longer your skill.
Right. You do not need to spend the next 5 years becoming, like, 10% better at shading.
The only thing standing between you and a full-time creative living is a system. This manual is entirely about the other half of the job.
And what I absolutely love is that it doesn't give you, fluffy motivational poster nonsense. It brings hard math.
Yes, receipts. So let's start by dismantling this starving artist myth.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this idea is so deeply ingrained in our culture, it almost feels like a law of physics.
Like, if you make art, you must suffer.
Right. Where did that even come from?
Well, it's fascinating because it isn't an economic reality at all. It's actually a marketing fiction.
Wait, really? A marketing fiction?
Yeah. The starving artist is a 19th century romantic invention. It really traces back to the Bohemian movements in Paris, specifically popularized by writers like Henri Murger.
Okay. Setting the scene in 19th century Paris.
Right. And at the time, the Industrial Revolution was booming. Capitalism was structuring society into these really strict working hours.
So people were rebelling against that.
Exactly. A group of artists basically rebelled against that whole bourgeois lifestyle. They chose to live in poverty in these garrets as a rejection of industrial society.
Wait, so it was basically a 19th century aesthetic, like a hipster movement.
Precisely. It was a lifestyle brand. But over time, the culture confused the rebellion with a requirement.
Wow. We started believing that suffering was noble.
Yeah, and that if you were making money, you were somehow a sellout. But if you look at art history before that romantic era, the most revered artists were businessmen.
Right, like Michelangelo.
Michelangelo died a very wealthy man. Renaissance painters negotiated their contracts like corporate CEOs.
Oh, that's such a good point.
They managed workshops, they managed apprentices, they negotiated material costs. They didn't view themselves as starving martyrs.
Okay, so if the starving artist is a myth, let's look at the reality. You brought up this federal labor data from the manual.
Yes, this is from the U.S. National Endowment for the Arts, analyzing 2023 data that was published in 2025.
Walk me through the actual numbers, because numbers don't lie.
So the median income for a full-time artist in the U.S. was $70,170.
Hold on, 70,000. Is that median skewed by, like, a tiny fraction of mega-rich artists at the top?
Oh, you mean like Jeff Koons pulling that average up so it looks like the middle class is doing well when they aren't?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is exactly why they use the median and not the mean average.
Oh, right, statistics.
Yeah, the median means you line up every single artist from lowest earning to highest earning, and you pick the person standing exactly in the middle.
So those massive, multi-million-dollar outliers at the top do not pull the number up.
Correct. The person in the exact middle of the pack is making over 70 grand.
Okay, that changes everything. I mean, that's a real living.
And just to be completely transparent, that broad category of artists does include architects and writers.
Oh, okay, so it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Right, so the manual narrows it down to the category closest to a working visual artist, fine artists, art directors, and animators.
And what's their number?
For them, the full-time median is still a very solid $54,990.
That's a middle-class living. That is rent, groceries, and savings.
And roughly 72% of U.S. artists work full-time. There are about 2.7 million artists in the workforce.
Wow.
And they are self-employed at over 3 times the national rate.
So my question is, if the numbers are this solid, why is everyone still warning you away from an art career?
Because people tend to look at the massive pool of hobbyists who aren't making money, and they assume the industry itself is broken.
Right. It's like standing in the lobby of a gym on January 1st, looking at all the people who will quit in 3 weeks, and concluding that fitness is a myth.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy. You're looking at the wrong data set.
Yeah.
And to understand how this actually functions day to day, we have to look at the platform data. The manual dives into Etsy's fiscal year for 2024.
Okay, Etsy. That's where a lot of people start.
Right. They had 8.1 million active sellers, moving $12.6 billion in goods.
That is a staggering amount of money.
Yeah, it is. Now, independent data scrapers, not Etsy's PR team, but outside analysts, found that roughly 1 in 6 active sellers clears $2,000 or more a month.
1 in 6. That is not a lottery ticket. That is a highly achievable ratio.
Very achievable.
But how is that money actually distributed across those 8.1 million people?
Well, this is where we get into the mechanics of the modern creator economy. Goldman Sachs sized the creator economy at $250 billion in 2023.
And it's still growing, right?
Oh, absolutely. They projected it to hit $480 billion by 2027. But it is what economists call a barbell economy.
A barbell economy. Meaning what exactly? Why does it shape up like that?
Think of a barbell, 2 heavy weights on either end with a thin bar in the middle.
Okay, I'm visualizing it.
In this economy, the distribution of income isn't a smooth, even curve where everyone makes a little bit. It's heavily bimodal.
Meaning there are 2 distinct groups.
Right. On one end, you have a massive majority of casual participants, the hobbyists, who earn very little.
And on the other end,
you have a dedicated minority who capture the vast majority of the revenue. The algorithms actually enforce this.
because of the feedback loops, right? Like, if your art starts selling and getting engaged,
Exactly. The platform shows it to more people.
which gets you more sales, which makes the platform show it to even more people.
You got it. The algorithm rewards consistency, conversion rates, and engagement. So the winners win bigger.
But what does this all mean for the listener?
The critical takeaway from the manual is this. The difference between the low-earning majority and the high-earning minority is almost entirely effort, time on the platform, and marketing.
So it is not that the top earners are magically 100 times more talented.
No, not at all. They just built the machinery.
Which brings us to the biggest mindset shift of this entire manual.
Right.
If the money is demonstrably there, and you already have the technical talent to make great work, what is the missing ingredient to get you into that 1 in 6 group?
The manual argues that the hidden lever isn't talent, it's time allocation.
Time allocation. I feel like this is where artists constantly trip themselves.
Oh, all the time. The manual introduces a foundational framework from Corey Huff, who runs The Abundant Artist.
Right, the 50-50 rule.
Yes, he interviewed dozens of 6-figure artists, and the unifying rule is incredibly simple. 50% of your time goes to making the art. The other 50% goes to marketing and growing the business.
I can already hear the collective groan from artists listening to this. Half of my time.
Half your working hours.
Not 10%. Not an hour on Sunday morning with a cup of coffee.
No. If you work 40 hours a week on your art career, 20 of those hours are spent photographing, pitching, emailing, posting, and analyzing your sales.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because this is the exact psychological barrier that stops people.
Bring it on.
Doesn't spending half my time on a laptop acting like a business manager dilute the purity of the art? Shouldn't a true artist just be in the flow state at the canvas 100% of the time?
It's a very common fear, but the reality is the exact opposite. Treating your art like a business doesn't dilute the purity of the art. It actually funds the purity of the art.
Yeah, explain that.
Think about the alternative. If you refuse to do the business side, you have to get a day job to pay your rent.
Right, you're back to the corporate grind.
You are an employee trading fixed hours for a fixed wage. Your boss dictates what you do. You come home completely exhausted, and you try to paint with whatever tiny fraction of leftover energy you have.
Yeah, you are compromising your entire week just to survive.
Exactly. You're giving your best hours to someone else's dream.
Yeah.
But a full-time artist who masters the business side, who does the 50% marketing,
They own their time.
they own a compounding asset. Yes, you spend 20 hours a week marketing, but those 20 hours buy you the freedom to spend the other 20 hours painting exactly what you want.
When you want, without needing to compromise your vision for a corporate boss.
Precisely. The business protects the art.
Oh, that is a fantastic way to frame it. The business is the moat that protects your flow state.
It really is.
But what happens when you start succeeding? The manual brings up Allison Stanfield's escalating curve.
Yes. She points out something really counterintuitive. Success brings more office time, not less.
Wait, really? More?
Yeah, and you have to plan for it so you don't resent it. Artists often think, well, once I get big, I can just paint and someone else will handle the annoying stuff.
I think everyone dreams of having an assistant handle all the emails.
Sure, but as you grow, you have more clients to manage, larger commissions to negotiate, inventory to track, taxes to calculate.
It scales up.
The manual cites the famous mid-century abstract painter Ad Reinhardt. He reportedly spent 80% of his time on promotion and networking.
80%? That is wild.
Meanwhile, industry surveys show hobby-tier artists spend between 0 and 5% of their time on promotion.
That is a massive difference.
That gap, the difference between 5% and 50% or 80%, that is the whole game.
But what about the ultimate excuse? The one every artist says, I'm just not good at marketing. It's not my personality. I'm an introvert.
The manual reframes marketing beautifully. It points out that marketing is not a personality type.
You don't have to be a hype bro.
Exactly. You do not have to be a hyper-extroverted, slick car salesperson. Marketing is simply sharing your work with one specific person at a time.
Just having a conversation.
It's having an authentic conversation about something you genuinely care about, just at scale. If you can stretch a canvas, you can learn to write an engaging email. It is a strictly learnable skill.
Okay, so I'm on board. I'm spending 50% of my time marketing.
Yeah.
But what am I actually selling?
Good question.
I mean, I can't just paint one massive $5,000 oil painting a month, cross my fingers, and hope it sells so I can pay my rent. That's a recipe for a panic attack.
Absolutely. So how do artists structure their actual cash flow? They use what the manual calls the stacked model.
The stacked model.
The golden rule is never bet your rent on a single income stream. You diversify.
So it's like building an investment portfolio.
Very much so.
You don't just hold one volatile stock. You've got your high-risk, high-reward original pieces, your steady dividend prints, and maybe some blue-chip, steady client work.
Precisely. The manual breaks down two brilliant worked examples using 2024 to 2026 pricing benchmarks.
Let's look at what they call survival math.
Right. The goal here is to clear about $2,200 a month to cover a basic cost of living overhead. Let's look at the mechanics of how an artist actually stacks that.
I love this. Let's break this down line by line, because this is where the abstract idea becomes a real job. Survival math.
You need $2,200 this month.
First, you sell one original painting for $500. Just one.
Just one.
Next, you sell 10 prints netting $35 each. That's $350.
We're at $850.
Then you paint 5 custom garments like bleach hoodies or painted denim at $150 each. That's $750.
Which brings us to $1,600.
You have a print-on-demand shop that brings in passive income, say $200.
$1,800.
And finally, you do 2 in-person market days over the course of the month that bring in a total of $400. You add all that up, and you are at $2,200.
Notice how achievable the volume is there.
Right.
You only had to find one buyer for an original piece. You only had to find 10 people to buy a print.
You aren't relying on a high-end gallery to move a massive piece to a wealthy collector.
Not at all. You are completely in control of these modest piece-together streams.
And once you master that, the manual scales it up to Thrive Math, aiming for $10,000 or more a month.
And what's fascinating is the structure doesn't fundamentally change, the levers just get bigger.
In the Thrive model, you're selling 3 originals at $1,500 each. That's $4,500.
You take on 3 commissions for a total of $5,000.
You have Patreon and print on demand bringing in $1,500 passively.
Add in some market days, and suddenly you are having $13,000 to $15,000 months.
And this relies on having a solid pricing strategy, which artists notoriously struggle with.
Oh, pricing is the hardest part psychologically. The manual offers concrete benchmarks. For original paintings, the industry standard in the 2020s is pricing by the square inch.
Which takes the emotion out of it.
It really does.
You aren't staring at a canvas wondering, like, is this good enough to charge $500? You just do the math.
Exactly. Emerging artists price at 50 cents to $2 per square inch. Mid-career is $4 to $6. Established is $6 to $10 plus.
Wow, so it's a very clear formula.
And it makes a crucial point about the overall market. At auction, 81% of contemporary works sell for under $5,000.
Wait, really? The vast majority?
Yes. The real volume of the art market isn't at the multi-million-dollar level. The action is at the accessible tier.
Because people want original art they can actually afford to put over their sofa.
Exactly. And then for open edition prints or giclées, the rule is to price them at roughly 1/3 the cost of the original, or a standard 3 times markup on your printing costs.
That makes sense. And what about the custom garments?
Custom bleach hoodies range from $45 for mid-tier up to $315 for premium.
And murals?
Murals are universally priced by the square foot, anywhere from $5 to $50 depending on complexity and location.
Okay, I have to stop you here.
Okay.
Because if we are talking about making money in art in the mid-2020s, we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
What about NFTs? Crypto art.
Ah, there it is.
I mean, we all saw the headlines. Beeple made $69 million selling a JPEG. Isn't that the ultimate get-rich-quick lever for a visual artist right now?
I am so glad you brought that up because the manual has an entire section titled NFTs in 2026, The Honest Take. And it provides a brutal data-backed reality check.
Oh, really?
It completely shuts the NFT idea down.
Why? What happened to all that money?
It was a speculative bubble, driven largely by what we call wash trading.
Wash trading. That's when a group of people buy and sell the same asset back and forth. Right?
Exactly, among themselves to artificially inflate the price and create the illusion of demand.
And then what?
Once the wider crypto market cooled off after 2021, the art NFT market completely collapsed.
How bad was the collapse?
Trading volume dropped by roughly 93%. The count of active traders plummeted by 96%. It essentially evaporated.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. By 2026, the major platforms that artists relied on had shut their doors. Known Origin closed down in 2024, Maker's Place in 2025, and Nifty Gateway in 2026.
Wow. So the infrastructure literally doesn't even exist anymore.
Right. The manual is incredibly explicit on this point. It says, for the overwhelming majority of working visual artists in 2026, NFTs are not worth the time.
So it's a dead end.
The underlying mechanism of NFTs didn't offer real utility for building a sustained connection with a fan. It was pure financial speculation.
So what should they do instead?
The manual's advice is to take all that energy you would have spent trying to mint tokens and put it into building a directly owned community on platforms like Patreon.
That makes total sense. Build an audience of people who love your art, not an audience of crypto traders looking to flip your art for a profit.
Exactly.
Okay, so the math is solid, the pricing is clear, the NFT distraction is gone. But, paper is one thing, human beings are another.
Very true.
I want to look at the actual people who built these careers because we are constantly fed these overnight success stories on social media.
And it can feel incredibly discouraging when your overnight success hasn't happened yet.
Right. And that is exactly why the manual's case study section is so powerful. It details 14 real artists who built their careers from zero.
And the absolute unifying thread across all of them is that the overnight success is actually built in total grinding obscurity.
You mentioned Beeple earlier, Mike Winkelmann. Everyone knows him for the $69 million auction.
Right.
But what they don't know is the mechanism behind it. On May 1st, 2007, he started a project called Everydays.
Such an intense project.
He committed to making one piece of digital art from start to finish every single day and posting it online. He did that for roughly 6,800 days before the big auction.
That's insane.
Let me do the math on that. That is over 18 years.
18 years of a daily, unbroken streak. Think about the psychological resilience that requires.
Seriously. Making art when you're sick.
When you're traveling, when you're uninspired, when nobody is commenting on your posts. Before he minted NFTs in late 2020, he had never sold a print for more than $100.
The manual has a brilliant quote about this. It says, "The 13-year discipline was the marketing."
Yes, he didn't need a viral marketing gimmick. The sheer audacity of the streak became the story.
It built his technical skill to a world-class level. It steadily built a massive audience, and it built his mental resilience.
And then you have completely different mechanisms for going viral, like Devon Rodriguez.
Oh, I love his
He was an oil portraitist from the South Bronx. His mechanism was capturing human interaction.
Right. He would sit on the subway and quietly sketch highly realistic portraits of strangers sitting across from him.
And then he started filming the reveal, walking up to the stranger and handing them the finished drawing.
The reactions are always so good.
Exactly. He started posting those videos in 2020. The mechanism wasn't just the art. It was the surprise, the genuine human connection, the emotion of the recipient.
And it blew up.
Because of that, by 2026, he became the most followed visual artist on TikTok with around 34 million followers.
And he monetized it brilliantly. He didn't rely on galleries. He did 24-hour limited drops of his prints for $199.
With 34 million followers, even a tiny fraction of a percent converting means his income skyrocketed.
But I want to make sure we don't just highlight the young internet phenomenons, because ageism is a real psychological barrier in the arts.
It's huge. Artists often think, well, if I didn't make it by 25, it's over for me.
The manual specifically highlights the late starters.
Yes, let's talk about Lisa Congdon.
She didn't even start taking art classes until she was 31.
Right, and she didn't break out as a professional until she was nearly 40.
And now, she is a self-described six-figure illustrator. She's collaborated with MoMA, Target, the U.S. Postal Service. She's written 10 books.
Or look at Aaron Blaise. He spent 21 years as a Disney animator working on classics like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast.
That's a whole career right there.
And then in his 40s, he completely rebuilt his career from scratch as an independent wildlife painter and online teacher. The late start is absolutely not a disqualifier.
If anything, I imagine having some life experience makes you much better at handling the 50-50 business split.
Oh, undoubtedly.
A 40-year-old who has worked in corporate America understands how to send an invoice and negotiate a contract way better than a 22-year-old just out of our school.
That's a very fair point. The maturity is an asset. And another major pattern the manual highlights is the power of the persona.
The persona.
Sometimes people don't just buy the physical art, they buy a ticket to the world the artist creates. Look at Kat O'Sullivan, known online as Catwise.
Her story is incredible.
She makes these upcycled, wildly colorful patchwork sweater coats. She started on Etsy way back in 2006 and built this entire nomadic bohemian fairy empire.
She's doing serious numbers.
She was selling roughly 50 coats a month at $440 to nearly $600 each.
But the best part of her story is how she handled the inevitable problem of copycats.
Because when you invent something popular, people steal the idea.
Right. When other people started imitating her sweater coats, she didn't panic. She didn't spend her time sending cease and desist letters. What did she do?
She executed a brilliant business pivot. She realized there was a huge demand from people wanting to make the coats.
So smart.
So she turned her imitators into customers by writing and selling a highly detailed tutorial on exactly how to make a Catwise coat.
And she sold thousands of them. She commodified her own process.
That is genius. And then there's Ashley Longshore, the pop artist.
Her persona is just loud, unapologetic, and fiercely independent. She completely rejected the traditional gallery system.
This is a crucial evolution in the modern art market. Traditionally, a gallery would exhibit your work, but they would take 50% of the sale price.
Which is a huge cut.
Ashley Longshore refused to give up half her revenue. So she started using Instagram as her gallery, selling direct to collectors via Instagram direct messages.
Wow, just through DMs.
Yeah. By 2015, she passed $1 million a year in painting sales, and today her works go for up to $46,000, and she keeps all of it.
Owning the audience instead of renting them from a gatekeeper.
Exactly.
Okay, so looking at Beeple, Rodriguez, Congdon, Catwise, and Longshore, the manual extracts 5 core patterns from all these case studies.
Let's run through them. Number 1, daily practice discipline, the streak.
Number 2, 3 to 6 income streams, the stacked model.
Number 3, a persona, not just a portfolio. People follow a worldview.
Number 4, direct-to-fan economics. The gallery is optional. You must own your audience.
And number 5, the most sobering but necessary reality check. A decade of obscurity first.
The overnight success is just the public arc of a very long, very private journey.
The manual explicitly says, start the clock now. If you want to be an overnight success in 2036, you have to start your Beeple streak today.
Now, I want to bridge this into what I think is the most urgent part of this entire manual.
Let's hear it.
Because you might be listening to this and thinking, well, Beeple spent 13 years mastering digital art. Devon Rodriguez spent years mastering hyper-realistic sketching.
Right.
But aren't those exactly the fields that generative AI is currently destroying? How does a visual artist survive when Midjourney can generate a flawless digital illustration in 4 seconds?
Exactly. That is the existential dread hanging over every visual artist right now.
Why spend 10,000 hours learning to paint when a machine does it instantly?
The manual tackles this head-on in Section 5, AI-proofing your career.
It's such an important section.
It argues that we are experiencing a massive cultural pendulum swing. Yes, AI makes digital perfection infinite and cheap.
But basic economics tells us that when a commodity becomes infinite and cheap, its value drops to near zero.
So what becomes valuable? The exact opposite.
Intentional imperfection, obvious, tangible, physical crafts.
Manual says your hands are the moat.
Meaning your physical ability to manipulate matter in the real world is the protective barrier around your business that AI cannot cross.
Exactly. And the manual deep dives into 2 specific physical niches that are exploding right now, specifically because they are AI-proof.
Let's look at niche number 1, bleach on garments.
Bleach painting. Like taking a black hoodie and painting a design with bleach so it burns a permanent image into the fabric.
Right. And think about the mechanics of this. It is a literal chemical reaction happening on woven fibers.
It physically cannot be faked by a machine.
Every single time the brush touches the fabric, the bleach spreads slightly differently. The reaction time varies. You guide the reaction, but you can never exactly repeat it.
The manual notes that is not a weakness. It is the entire pitch.
It guarantees to the buyer that they are getting a one-of-one piece that no algorithm could ever mass produce.
The manual cites an artist named Spooky Little Bleach who built a 6-figure business entirely on this model.
They do a monthly drop, right?
Yeah. On the first of each month, they release a small, fixed number of custom hoodie slots. There's a flat base price with add-on fees if the buyer wants designs on the sleeves or the hood.
And because of the scarcity and the guaranteed physical nature of the craft, they sell out instantly.
But the manual doesn't just praise the niche. It addresses the fatal flaw that usually kills clothing brands.
Oh, the sizing problem.
Yes.
Inventory management. The silent killer of small businesses.
Exactly. If you want to sell hoodies, you theoretically need to stock small, medium, large, XL, XXL.
And if you buy a bunch of smalls and your audience happens to be XL, you drown in unsold inventory.
It eats all your profit. So the manual offers 7 proven fixes to solve the sizing problem.
Let's run through these because this is the kind of tactical advice that actually saves businesses.
Fix 1. The customer-supplied garment. Send me your jacket.
The customer mails you a denim jacket they already own, you paint it and send it back.
You hold 0 blank inventory. You take 0 sizing risk, and you build an instant personal connection with the buyer.
Fix 2. Limited drop slots, like Spooky Little Bleach. Scarcity forces action.
Fix 3. Common size blanks only. You strictly only stock medium, large, and XL because statistical data shows that covers roughly 70% of bodies.
You intentionally ignore the long tail of sizing to protect your margins.
Fix 4. One-of-one upcycled. You go to a thrift store, find an amazing vintage jacket, paint it, and whatever size it happens to be, that's just part of the listing.
Vintage Levi's, size medium, 1-of-1. That's so easy.
Fix 5, and the manual notes this is the safest place for a beginner to start. Universal fit accessories.
Bandanas, tote bags, snapback hats, back patches. Sizing simply doesn't exist for a tote bag.
Fix 6 is made to order. You list a mock-up on your site, but you do not actually purchase the blank hoodie from your wholesaler until the customer has already paid you.
And Fix 7, the Catwise method. Pattern licensing and tutorials. You sell the knowledge of how to do it.
The manual also provides incredible technical depth to prove its expertise here. It warns artists, you must work on 100% cotton garments.
Because synthetic blends resist the bleach chemical reaction.
And crucially, you can't just bleach a shirt and wash it. The bleach will continue eating the fabric over time until it literally rots holes in the shirt.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have thought of that.
You have to neutralize the chemical reaction using a hydrogen peroxide bath.
Yeah.
And you must wear a respirator. This isn't digital art. This is chemistry.
And that physical reality brings us to the second AI-proof niche the manual highlights. UV or blacklight painting.
The logic here is unassailable. An AI program can generate a beautiful picture of a glowing neon room on a screen.
But a computer, physically, cannot make the actual three-dimensional room you're standing in flip into a glowing ultraviolet wonderland.
Because it's inherently performative.
It is witness-based. You have to physically be in the room under the specific lighting to experience the magic of the blacklight reveal.
It's an event.
I absolutely love the analogy that came to mind while reading this. It's exactly the dynamic between live theater and massive CGI blockbuster movies.
Expand on that.
Well, think about it. A Hollywood CGI movie can look absolutely flawless. Photorealistic perfection, huge explosions, rendering millions of pixels.
Right.
But despite how perfect the movie is, people will still pay hundreds of dollars for a ticket to a live Broadway play. Why?
Because it's real.
Because the risk, the sweat, the acoustics of the room, the physical reality of human beings performing in front of you is the product. AI is the CGI. The physical artist is the live theater.
That is a profound connection, and the manual breaks down exactly where the market demand is for this live theater.
Where is it?
Festival live painting is a massive industry, with established artists earning between $1,200 and $5,000 per event to paint huge murals while the crowd watches.
Oh.
Then you have permanent installations for music venues, pitching residencies to electronic or bass music promoters.
That makes sense.
And there's a huge emerging market in 2026 for cannabis dispensaries who are paying top dollar for permanent blacklight feature walls to compete on ambiance.
And the beauty of this niche is that the marketing practically films itself. The short-form video formula is bulletproof.
The manual breaks down the psychology of why UV videos go viral. You start the video in normal daylight lighting, showing some crisp line work.
Then you do a satisfying tape peel.
And right at the 3-second mark, you hit the switch and transition into the glowing UV reveal. It hooks the viewer's brain perfectly.
But there is a crucial caveat. You must use a real human face and your real voice in the video.
Right. Original audio with the creator explaining their process on camera outperforms music-only clips every single time.
Again, an AI structurally cannot occupy this category. It cannot show a real human holding a brush under a blacklight.
And the technical advice here is vital. You cannot use those cheap $10 purple party bulbs you buy at a big box hardware store.
Those are 400 nanometer lights. They mostly just cast visible purple light.
To make fluorescent pigment truly pop, you have to invest in 365 nanometer UV lights.
And you have to actually mix your paints under the blacklight because UV reactive paint looks completely different in daylight.
It's all about mastering the physical environment, which brings us to the final hurdle.
Okay, what's that?
You have the AI-proof product, you have the 50-50 marketing mindset, you understand the income math, but how do you actually step out your front door and find the people with the money in your specific city?
The manual provides a search method. It specifically avoids giving you a list of directories because printed directories rot the second they are published.
Venues close, links break.
Instead, it gives you 4 pillars to search like a local scout, using 20-minute search sprints on your phone.
Let's break down the pillars. Pillar 1. The in-person marketplace.
This is your arts and crafts markets, night markets, street fairs, weekend pop-ups.
This is the single fastest way to make your first sales and, more importantly, read real-time customer reactions to your pricing and designs.
You simply search your city's name, plus the phrase Makers Market Apply 2026.
Pillar 2. Galleries with open calls. Now, we established earlier that you don't need a gallery to survive.
But if a local gallery has an open submission process for a group show, you absolutely apply.
It's free marketing, and having a gallery exhibition on your resume builds instant credibility for higher-tier clients. You search your region, plus call for artists.
Pillar 3, grants and arts councils. This is the pillar that artists constantly ignore, leaving literal thousands of dollars on the table.
Why do they ignore it? Imposter syndrome.
Artists assume they won't qualify. They think government grants are only for people with master's degrees in fine arts who make bizarre, conceptual, avant-garde installations.
They don't realize there are micro grants designed specifically to help a local painter buy supplies or a digital artist buy a new iPad.
The manual says to apply for everything. It is the closest thing to free runway for your business. Just search your country or state plus individual artist grant.
And pillar 4. Maker spaces and studios.
Even if you have a perfectly good garage studio at home, finding a local shared makerspace or arts center gives you something a garage cannot: a peer network.
Proximity to other working artists is a massive business asset. When a local business wants a mural, they don't post a job ad, they ask an artist they know.
If you're in the network, you hear about paid work before it ever goes public.
But the manual doesn't just give you the map to the treasure, it actively warns you about the traps along the road.
It highlights 4 pitfalls that take down incredibly talented people.
Pitfall 1 is the big one: burnout. The industry survey data shows a terrifying 70 to 79% burnout rate among independent creators.
Because when you're the boss, you never give yourself a day off.
The fix for burnout isn't just taking a bath. It's scheduling rest as a non-negotiable line item in your business plan.
The manual provides a weekly template to prevent this.
Monday through Wednesday, mornings are strictly for making art, afternoons are for the business posting, messaging, listing.
Thursday is purely a production day for filming and editing content.
Friday is for pitching clients and closing sales. Saturday is for a live market day.
And Sunday is completely strictly off. No email, no Canvas, no Instagram.
Pitfall 2, pricing too low. This is a huge psychological trap.
The manual has a great rule. If your prices don't make you feel slightly uncomfortable, you are charging too little.
Artists are terrified to raise prices because they think of a one-to-one correlation. Like, if I double my prices, I will lose half my sale, so I'll make the same money but anger my fans.
Right, but the manual proves that isn't true. Doubling your prices doesn't have your sales.
What it actually does is weed out the bargain hunters, who are historically the most difficult demanding clients anyway.
It raises the perceived value of the work, attracts a higher tier buyer, and ultimately raises your total revenue while you do less physical labor.
Exactly. It's a psychological barrier, which ties perfectly into Pitfall 3. The starving artist identity we dismantled at the beginning.
If you internally believe that suffering makes you authentic, you will subconsciously sabotage your own sales.
And finally, Pitfall 4. The comparison spiral. Algorithm anxiety.
Staring at someone else's viral video and feeling like a failure.
Yes. The manual's advice is ruthless but necessary. Mute everyone who triggers comparison.
Your feed should not make you feel bad.
Follow only people you can actively learn from, or people outside your niche who inspire you. Treat the algorithm as a tool to reach customers, not as a judge of your self-worth.
Okay, we've completely dismantled the myths. We've shown you the math, the mechanics of the barbell economy, the Beeple Street case studies.
The physical AI-proof niches, the map to your local scene, and the psychological warnings.
Now it is time to light the fuse. The absolute final section of this manual is the outro, which is a 4-week sprint reality check.
It doesn't just say, good luck. It breaks down exactly, week by week, how to get to your first $2,000 month.
Week 1 is foundation and inventory. You don't try to make a masterpiece. You make 20 small, universal fit pieces.
You set up your basic storefront. You shoot your first process videos outdoors in natural sunlight.
Week 2 is the first market in your sales engine. You book a local weekend market.
You don't even care about profit this weekend. Your goal is to capture every single buyer's email address. And you send out 5 email pitches to local venues or galleries.
Week 3 is pricing courage and repeat machinery. You build a permanent line of reproducible designs, prints, or stickers.
You publicly announce your monthly drop format to your new email list. You raise your prices on your original pieces and test the market response.
And week 4 is the drop. Stack, drop, close. You post all your available slots or pieces simultaneously.
Because you've built the scarcity and the hype, you aim to sell out in 24 hours.
And crucially, you post an income recap or a sold-out video to immediately build social proof and hype for the next month's drop.
It is an intense sprint, but the beauty of the system is that the infrastructure you build in month 1 makes month 2 easier, not harder.
Month 2 to 6 is where the survival math compounds into the thrive math, because your audience, your own asset, is compounding.
I want to take a second to talk directly to you again, the artist listening to this.
The infrastructure exists, the math is on your side.
The federal data proves that a middle-class living is absolutely standard for tens of thousands of people.
The anti-AI cultural moment is the strongest tailwind a handmade physical artist has had in a century. People are craving what you make.
And you already have the technical skill. That was supposed to be the hardest part, and you already spent the years doing it.
I want to leave you with a quote from the very end of the manual because it sums up the entire mindset shift.
What is it?
It says, "The starving artist believes you must be born an artist. The thriving artist knows you must become one."
Let's take that energy and turn it up to an 11. The myth is dead. The path is clear.
The only single question left is whether you will commit to spending half your hours on the business starting today. Start the streak.
Beeple did 6,800 days to get where he is. What is your day one gonna look like?
Make the work. Show the work. Make the work. Show the work. There is literally nothing stopping you from a creative living except the choice to start.
And I'll leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. Think about everything we've discussed today, the algorithms, the markets, the pricing, the disciplines.
What if your biggest competitive advantage as an artist isn't your unique brushstroke?
What if it isn't your specific color palette or your years of technical training?
What if your absolute biggest advantage in this economy is simply your willingness to out-organize your own doubts?
Wow, your willingness to out-organize your own doubts. I love that.
Let's go back to where we started at the top of the show. That blueprint for your career. The one that looked like a terrifying blank piece of paper.
It's not terrifying because it's empty. It's an opportunity because you are the one who gets to draw the map.
Grab a pen. Start laying the bricks. We'll see you next time.